Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Giacomo Piffanelli. I'm a third-year student at the School of International Relations at the Anglo-American University. Today, I'm here with His Excellency, the Ambassador Søren Kelstrup, who is now the representative here for Denmark in Czech Republic. Thank you very much, Ambassador, for being here today.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you very much. So if you would like to move to the first question, I would like to ask you, what do you think young people, but also more in general, everybody, should look at the leadership of your country?
Well, I think that my country is trying to play its part in what we see as the best way forward for the globe, which is cooperation, mutual understanding, and constructive contribution to progress in politics, economy, and climate change. So when you ask me what other countries can learn, I think that all countries can, from their own perspective, participate proactively in promoting peace and cooperation in the world. And there will be different interests. If we take the green transition, my country has one approach, other countries will have other approaches, but if we all chip in, we will find the necessary compromises and the necessary way forward.
Okay, thank you very much. And for chipping in, as you just said, it means that obviously diplomats have an important role in doing this. And so looking at the career of a diplomat and a diplomat himself in chipping in, as you just say, what should be the skills of a diplomat to achieve this important goal, which is like cooperation and achieving goals related to the problems that we just talked about?
Yeah, I think the skills of a diplomat is first and foremost curiosity and interest in the substance and respect for other people, for other views on the world, and a skill to be able to communicate about difficult issues also. Diplomats are by definition people who can talk together even though they come from very different views. It's very rarely that you cut diplomatic relations. Even countries with big disagreements like my own country and Russia right now maintain diplomatic relations in order to be able to to talk together. So I have a colleague from the Danish ministry in Moscow, and there's also a Russian ambassador in Denmark. But we're certainly not agreeing on very much these days. But nevertheless, answering your question, I think a skill, apart from the curiosity and the interest in the substance and multicultural understanding, a skill is also to be able to talk with your enemies, so to say, or your adversaries about very difficult topics.
And also in moving, always staying into like diplomatic life, since you just said that many diplomats have like come from different backgrounds, in that sense, the experiencing in the life of a diplomat, multicultural environments, is that also like an helpful strategy to learn how to cooperate with people from different backgrounds?
Yes, I think the more you understand and meet and see and talk with different cultures and visit different countries, the less fear you will have of changes and opening your own perspective. The more you will be able to have a real eye-to-eye discussion with those people that you need to solve problems together with. So I think you could say that in this world of today, where mistrust, in my view, is growing among peoples, both between countries, but also people inside countries, where mistrust is growing, misinformation is growing, and prejudice is growing, I think it's extremely important to do even more of this work, to try to understand other cultures and meet people from other cultures and be open to their perspective on the world.
Okay. When it comes about Western countries, Western society, to get involved in this, as you said, to find a common ground, to find common values, especially looking at, but as you said before, at the background of the European countries, how can they put themselves in the ring without the other countries, without looking still with that imperialistic way that characterized the foreign policy of pretty much the majority of the European countries for the course of history.
Yes. Fortunately, we are past that now. The Brits still have a Commonwealth, and Denmark still has a kingdom with 3 parts, but imperialism as such is over. Today we live in a world seen from a European perspective, where countries should decide themselves which alliances or organizations they want to belong to, and where people should democratically decide which direction their country should go. So from a European perspective, I think we are on the right track. And what we need to do as Europe is to speak with one voice. If we want to be heard in a world with China and US right now distancing themselves from Europe because they have quicker economic growth, they have even sustainability developing quicker because they invest and support and subsidize industrial development. If we want to have influence there, we need to speak with one voice in Europe and agree on things in Europe. And that, I think we have been pretty successful at that. The important thing now is that through every crisis, we should always come out stronger. Okay. And we have been that throughout history. Europe has come out stronger. When we had in the 80s the economic crisis, we had the internal market as a result of that, and that has been a huge benefit for Europe. When we had COVID crisis, don't forget it was European, rather Turkish immigrants to Germany, but it was a European scientist team that got the breakthrough. And COVID was another example that we always come out stronger in Europe. I believe we will also do that this time.
True that. Could I ask you one last question, Ambassador?
Sure.
What do you think the role of Denmark in international stage, but also like as single country, and also as part of the European Union, and also part of the Western world, if you would like to add on that, what should they do to on the international stage to favor more dialogue instead of bombs?
First, we should at home make sure that the conflict doesn't spread to our own society. We have Jews living in Denmark. We also have a lot of Muslim immigrants, including Palestinians. And we have had several incidents. And we should try to stop that, because the conflict should not be repeated in Denmark. The Jews living there, or the Palestinians living there, should not be considered as Jews supporting Netanyahu and Palestinians supporting Hamas. They're individuals who are Danish citizens like everybody else, and they should not look at each other as enemies, but rather as people with different ethnic roots. So this is one way we try to have peace in Denmark and not import the conflict, so to say. In the international community, Denmark is now, from 1st of January, member of the UN Security Council. And we will, in the Security Council, be the honest broker. Of course, we will listen to the views of different countries and try to promote the solutions that are possible. But we should always have as point of departure that it's better to look forward and to look at ways to find commonalities and find common interests, like peace, as a first starting point. So I think if you ask my government right now what it can do, it will say, like many other European countries, let's start with a ceasefire. Let's then sit down. Of course, primarily the Israeli and the Palestinians when they're ready, but maybe also the international community, because we have ignored this conflict for maybe too many years. Maybe the international community needs to take a bigger responsibility in separating the parts. Maybe also in promoting the old UN idea of a two-state solution. I'm not an expert on the Middle East, so I would hesitate to try to come up with solutions here. But I would just say that I see a role for small countries like Denmark through corporations like the EU and through countries which is the big majority in the United Nations, who want peace in Israel. There we can play our small constructive part. And our Prime Minister has said that if there will be a two-state solution with some kind of international involvement, for instance, UN troops to
like South and North Korea.
Yes. Then we would be ready to play a part in that.
So, Ambassador, thank you very much again. It was very much a pleasure having you here. And I hope you would like to visit us again if you ever feel interested again. And I think we're all very happy for this wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much, Ambassador.
Thank you very much for the invitation, and I'd be happy to come back one day. So good luck with your careers, and thank you for the invitation. Thanks.